happen. Right now, after all those people laughed at me over veto and said it's impossible, I said, can you imagine if we all woke up one day after the election and the headline was, United States voters to United States Congress, you're fired? Well, here's the latest poll, ladies and gentlemen. 63% of all Americans now say the country would be better off if most of Congress loses their job. A large majority thinks government makes things worse and chooses the private sector over government. You see, there are a lot of people who felt as the worse things got, the more people would turn to government. I have good news for all of you. The worse they get, the more people are turning against government. This is the greatest moment in our history. And the only criticism that I hear about me is I'm not radical enough and I don't appeal to the left enough inside the Libertarian Party. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's the other new poll you should know about. The single most popular name in the history of American politics is not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not liberal, it's not conservative, it's not independent. It is the brand name Ronald Reagan. The single most popular name today in all of American politics. And by the way, it's the only brand name tested that rates positive out of all the names I just mentioned. Conservative, more negative than positive. Liberal, more negative. Democrat, more negative. Republican, more negative. Several of the greatest presidents of all time, more negative than positive. Reagan's brand, positive, which is why there is no reason to criticize. As a sales and marketing expert, I've associated our name and my name with Reagan again and again. Why would you not? Everywhere you go, the majority of Americans love the name Ronald Reagan. So rather than say on Fox News or on many of the national shows I'm on, the list is long, hey, I'm a libertarian, and have people go, well, I don't know what that means, or, oh, that's negative, I say I am a Reagan libertarian. And instantly, millions of people go, hey, I love that Reagan guy. I want to listen to what this guy has to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand everything about your reticence to attach with Reagan because all of you believe Reagan spoke like a libertarian. He said he'd eliminate entire government departments. He said he'd make government smaller. Then he got elected and he made government larger. But ladies and gentlemen, he talked like a libertarian and he got elected in 2 landslides, and we should be proud of that. I wish he'd carried it out more, but the end result is he cut taxes more than any president in history, and he did stand for something we believe very strongly for, freedom. He actually went to negotiations with the Soviet Union and negotiated a reduction in nuclear armament based on allowing tens of thousands of Jews that were imprisoned in Russia to leave Russia and go home to Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can't be proud of that, there's something wrong with us. Every little step you've got to be proud of. As Aaron said just moments ago, don't let the perfect get in the way of the good. Could Reagan have been better? Sure. I wish he had gotten rid of the Department of Education. I wish he had gotten rid of the IRS. I wish he had gotten rid of taxes, period. But you know what? I was there for the beginning of Reagan, and I know what he did for my business, and I know what he did for my life. He changed my life with his tax cuts, and he took a country that was bankrupt like it is now under Jimmy Carter's socialist policies, and he turned it from a bust to the greatest economic boom in history simply by cutting taxes dramatically. And that's something that every libertarian should appreciate. The man allowed all of us to keep more of our own money that we earn and redefine it as our money, not government's money. Those are the positives of Ronald Reagan. We should be proud. Now, along those same lines, I wrote a book called The Conscience of the Libertarian. Kevin mentioned it. The subtitle is Empowering the Citizen Revolution with God, Guns, Gambling, and Tax Cuts. And people said, why did you do that? Well, I'll tell you what. I wrote it in November and December of 2008, before there was such a thing as a Tea Party movement. And I correctly predicted the emergence, the birth of this movement. I said that the time was right for American citizen revolution. And that revolution would include libertarians, conservatives, disgruntled Republicans, gun owners, Christians, anti-tax activists, anti-government activists, and a few blue dog Democrats sprinkled in. And that's exactly what has happened. And we need to take advantage of it, just like the Tea Party's taking advantage of it. We don't need to make fun of them. We don't need to be so radical we scare them off. We don't need to say Glenn Beck isn't one of us when he stands on TV with the hottest show in the history of television, in the worst time slot possible. He's now got the #2 show with a bullet in the history of TV by screaming that government is bad, both parties are bad, the country is going under, we've spent too much, we've got to get spending under control, Republicans aren't the answer, and I'm a libertarian. And I find libertarians are angry at that because he's not pure enough for us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a dream come true. Grasp it, grab it, hold on to it, embrace it, take advantage of it. Attach yourself to Glenn Beck and John Stockler. Attach yourself. These jacks are here, Chip, and Ron Paul, and Wayne Root, and you're mad? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the greatest moment in history. Grab onto it. Now, here's a few other stats that are going to open your eyes as to why I try and attach to conservatives again and again and again. Number one, new poll is out. Yes, there are more independents than at any time in history. More than 2-to-1 they identify as conservative versus liberal. New poll is out. In all 50 states, conservatives have the majority of voters over liberals. That includes Massachusetts. That includes the most liberal states you can think of. Illinois, Maryland, New York, and yes, California. Conservatives lead in every state. We need to befriend conservatives. We need to show them the common ground where we agree. Do I agree with them on everything? Absolutely not. On most social issues, there is a parting of the ways. But ladies and gentlemen, I take a walk every day at my beautiful home in Las Vegas. Every day that I'm home. And in the summer, when it's 12 noon, it's 105 degrees outside. So you know what time I walk? 6 a.m. when it's only 70. In the winter, right about now, it's 65 every day around noon. But at 6 in the morning, it's freezing. It's 30 degrees, so I don't walk at 6 in the morning. The Libertarian Party has been trying to walk uphill attached to a boulder for 39 years. It seems like we want the hardest road possible. I look for the easiest road. I look for common ground. I look to go on a conservative show and talk about taxes and states' rights and government has begun to get too big and must get smaller. I talk about things we have in common. That's what this party needs to do. We can make friends with the Tea Party. We can build a coalition with conservatives. We can build a coalition with independents and blue dog Democrats. And we can elect candidates. We can do it. And by the way, the Tea Party movement, the reason they've been so successful, which I'll get into in detail in a minute, is that they stay away from social issues. They care about the only issue that Americans care about, keeping their jobs, the economy, money. As James Carville would say, it's about the economy, stupid. That's all they talk about. And yet, as they talk about those things that they have absolutely 100% in common with us, guess what the polls show again? I guess you can guess. I'm a man of polls. I like to study them. 65% of all Republicans like the Tea Party movement. Do you know what percentage of Democrats like it? 19%. There's our common ground. There is none on the left. The common ground is on the right. Now, here's some good news. More good news. We've gotten lucky because the left has elected Obama. And the result is he's the gift that keeps on giving. He talks about cap and trade and global warming. And so we get snow in Dallas, a blizzard. We get the heaviest snow in 25 years in Rome.